Okay, welcome back. Now we talked about the ID selector and how to use that in your CSS styling and how to create a declaration from a particular ID selector. Okay, let's try something else. Let's say we have a universal selector of P with a background color of this, and we go back to our browser, refresh, and you can see that every P paragraph has that background color and that size of 20 pixels or 40 pixels. Now we're going to apply a particular ID to one of the paragraphs. Oh, okay. Say ID equals to no. Also no. I know I told you to not name your CSS in according to what they do, but with structure. But I've just used this to show you. I'm just using this particular to show you an example. I said no size, so we go down here and delete this, press enter. We call this no size. Take that down, tap save. So basically what I want to do first is this. What I want to do with this particular selector, I want to remove this background and reduce the size to only, I want the effect to be applied to only this particular HTML, this particular P paragraph in the HTML, this particular one. So I want to affect only this particular P paragraph, which is just after our welcome. So go back to my CSS. Oh, pardon me. Go back to my CSS at the top of my page, and I press tab. I'll say font size. Reduce the font size to 14 pixels, and background I'll say none. Save, and I'll refresh. And I'm just going to scroll up to the page, top of my page, and you can see that the style we just applied to an ID. That means ID is to select a specific HTML element. So the ID is more specific in styling than our universal selector. That's the precedence. The order of precedence, the ID is more important. So in the order of rules, the ID is considered first before subsequent element like a universal selector. So we're going to do, want to see how this ID add effect on this particular paragraph in our HTML document. So I'll go to our intro, welcome, and see the ID no size. I'll click on it, and you can see we have the font size, which is this, which was specified in our ID selector, and we have the background color of this. We have the font size of 40 pixels was cancelled. That means the font size we gave it in our ID was more important than the font size which was given to it in our universal selector. That means it was cancelled out. So the font size here overruled the font size in our universal selector. So when you're selecting with an ID, it's more specific than when you select the universal selector of P. So that's just a recap of how the ID works. So now we're going to talk about classes. Set of class. Dot color. Save. Okay, I'll cancel that out. Dot color. Just hold on. I'm gonna explain shortly. Basically, in our CSS, we want to apply a particular style into our page. And apply color. And I'll say class equals color. So we're adding the HTML attribute of class to our web page. I'm just going to copy and paste through. Copy. I'll paste the last one, Ctrl V, and I'll tap save. So basically what I want to do here, I want to apply the style of color to this particular list element. So what color does is this. Go back to my page. The next selector is called a class. And class means, in essence, we could say a group. Or category. So I remember in your social life, your society, you've heard about a class of people who belong to a certain class, a certain group, a certain niche. So when you're talking about class, you're talking about a particular group of HTML elements that you're trying to select. So when you're applying a class in your style rule, that means you're selecting a particular group of elements that you want to apply a specific style rules to. So you're applying a specific style declaration. That means a set of style rules to that particular element, or that particular group of elements has been selected. How do you designate a class? Previously with the ID, we designate a class with the pound sign, then the ID name. But in a class, we designate a class in our CSS with the full stop, then the class name. Then we open our brace, then we close our brace for the ID. So this is where we designate the class in our CSS. So we'll now go back over to our CSS. So since we stated the class here, we want to designate class, we had our full stop, then we had the class name, open brace, close brace, then we apply our value. Now I want to apply a value of background color. I'm just going to give it a color of red or orange. Man, I like oranges. And I'll save, preview my browser, and voila. You could see that the page has actually been affected with the orange color. The pack that we applied the class to has been affected with that particular color. So basically, the power of classes is that it can be used in more than one HTML element. It can be used in more than one HTML element. I can decide to apply my class to other HTML elements across my page. I may decide to come here and give it a class of ID using the class attribute. I decide to go to the bottom of the page also to give it a class to, let's give one of this list. I'll decide to give the whole navigation here class color. I'll say if we go back to our page, refresh, and just scroll down, you could see. So a class can select virtually every different kind of HTML documents on your page. Pardon me, different kind of HTML elements on your page. So a class can be used to select a group of HTML elements on your page. So that's the end of the class select, brought to you by Ccognate and Chaz Chinedu is your tutor. Ciao.